So in 2022, I think we deployed our first multitask deep learning model, which gave us about 40 to 50% time spent per DAO gain. That's a very big metric because it directly correlates to your revenue, how much ads you can show to the user. So that was one big win. However, I think over the last 3 years, we also had another very, very interesting learning that we built a great recommender system, but it just is too expensive for tier 2, tier 3 India's per capita. So that's like almost like gravity, right? You can build great tech, but when you have to make it profitable, you realize it's a different ball game. So last 3 years, we were just focused on making sure the performance doesn't degrade, but we can get costs down. To give you some context, we were spending north of $100 million annually on our cloud bills in 22. Over the years, we've chipped that out, made our algorithms more efficient, and cut that down to 1/3. And that one switch made the entire difference in making unit economics work, the platform. So I think that's been our journey since 2018, building AI.
How successful are you in, or is the aspiration also is to get senior product and tech people to be based in India or to develop that talent in India? And secondly, how much has your algorithm improved, say, relative to a TikTok or a ByteDance or a Duyan? Is it superior to that? Is it comparable with that?
Sure. So our intent is to build talent in India. And I think when we started building this global team, it was 2020. But now, if I think about the top modeling folks in the team, is it at least half in India, half outside? So we've actually trained people who have been with the company for 7-8 years, are now at par with the global talent.
Right.
So I think our vision is that we want to have a global team, but we feel that Indian talent can equally be as competent given enough time and experience.
Got it.
On the second part, I think TikTok and Meta are the ones that set the bar in recommender systems. They have the most amount of R&D budget, talent. So I think what we learned over the time building Rexus, and this is probably a more technical nuance, but some of you might appreciate. I think we all sort of were learning what magic happens behind a TikTok algo that makes it so addictive, so people want to spend time on. I think what we realized was that a lot of what we see or think about is modeling, but actually it's the infrastructure or the underlying feature stores, data pipelines. And the magic really was, can you make the entire system real time? And I'm not talking about feature stores. I mean, feature stores being real time is a decade-old concept. I'm talking about, can you train a deep learning model, the training being real time? And that was the entire magic. And they're still the world leaders in that. I think we're catching up. It'll be unfair for me to say we are superior. I think we're not as good as them, but I think we're probably 90% there.
Got it. Thank you. Just to go to Vikram a little bit. Vikram, Indosat is widely acknowledged as an early mover amongst connectivity telecom players in AI. And there's obviously been a return on investment, there's been a lot of value. But just step back a little bit, like I asked Ankush, when you look at the journey, what were the big shifts required strategically and operationally to move it from just deployment phase to actual scale?
I think this is a very good question. If I have to call out 2 or 3, the number one I'll call out, AI is more about people than tech. I think it is, first, companies are built more vertically, especially telcos who are 50-year-old and all. So how do we work horizontally? Number one. Number two, the way of working, the culture. I think my biggest challenge was I have 5,000 employees. To get them on board, right from my management team to top 100 leader, if they don't believe in it and if they don't start enjoying working horizontally, it doesn't work, number one. Number two, I think as human, we keep hearing this, that AI will take away job. For sure, there are many jobs will get displaced. There are many more new opportunities which are coming in. But as human, we need to be on the lead, not in the loop. I think we have to get this right. Otherwise, for people like us, it will not be very inspiring if you are in a loop for AI.
Right.
I think that whole culture change. And then when it comes to tech, get your design right, get your platform. Don't go into use case by use case. Otherwise it will
Understand.
not scale up. So I think these are the three things. When I reflect back, has been the most critical element for us now that we have started scaling up.
Got it. So I'm going to go a little bit deeper into that before I turn back to Ankush and on your use cases. Vikram, give us the audience examples of what AI native telecom growth looks like in actual practice.
So
And then a little bit, my second question is on AI RAN. How does that shape the future of telco economics, the AI RAN part? Because not everyone understands that part.
I think very simply putting it, when we started our whole program around hyper personalization, you know, the industry ARPU growth was 7%, we grew 14%, 2x.
Right.
My serious base churn greater than 90 days from a level of 3% has come down to 1.4%. See, in a mature market where, churn, ARPU, these are the most important metrics. And I announced my results. It is reflecting on my results. We are a public listed company. So this is one part. What really excites me is this is the time for telcos. In 2006-7, when the whole app boom was happening, we lost that opportunity. We were all inward looking. Now again, AI gives us this opportunity. Think of it like connectivity plus intelligence delivered at edge in a sovereign manner is what countries like India and Indonesia need. Yeah, what Ankush is doing is bringing intelligence, but you need a pipe.
Of course.
You need to take it to villages, and there is no better. Like in Indonesia, we covered 80,000 villages. We are everywhere.
Actually, to double click on that, I mean, tell us how it supports what you're doing in supporting the broader Indonesian businesses and also beyond the cities, the villages and the
Correct.
rural
So,
areas.
so what, see, AI RAN is one part, but AI grid, today, I have to say that even before India, we got our H100. Ankush, to your point, why TikTok? It's because they started their business on GPU. They never use CPU. They are the only company who was designed for TikTok. Indonesia is the number 2 market in the world after US because they never use CPUs. They are so hyper personalized. Their whole architecture is designed on infra, what you was telling. So again, coming back, what we are doing now is that we are taking this to the edge. So we are putting AI on the RAN, and from one AI factory, we will have 55,000 AI factory. Think of use cases which need low latency. It has to be so close to the customer. So I think that is the journey which we are taking. We were one of the 3 companies, T-Mobile US, SoftBank Japan, and us. So you have to have a bit of a future bet. Otherwise, it's too late. You can't wait for things to happen, then somebody will move it. So I think now we are more confident, Vivek, to your point. We had the AI RAN lab. Now we are moving from AI RAN to AI grid. And that is how you will take intelligence or even the use cases to the villages. And then comes the cost economic, the unit. Countries like India, Indonesia, they are all $3 ARPU. You can't look at $50 versus $3.
Of course.
How do you serve these people at a cost point where it makes sense for them?
Okay, my last question to you before we go to Ankush and come back to you later, Vikram, is what are the lessons for India from Indonesia's AI journey, particularly in terms of building, your own LLM models? You talked about that, your own AI platforms, embedding it into the telco infrastructure, and of course, ensuring it delivers real economic impact.
Look, I call myself global citizen, but my heart and mind, I've been born in a small town called Jamshedpur in India. We have grown up. Look at the Indian talent, what they are doing worldwide. And when I was starting my Sahabat 1.5 year back, I was getting a lot of call from India. Why do you need to do that? These are big boys club. I don't want to name people, but I'm so happy that India has understood. Now India is going all in, and I'm sure India will scale up faster than anyone else. But I think every country needs to have its own linguistic, cultural heritage. You can't allow data to be given to all these big companies. They are just taking the data out, giving you finished product. Think of 10 years from now. Think of 15 years from now. So I think a country like India who has so much of talent and potential, personally, I'm so happy now we learn from India. See, infra without application is meaningless. And I'm so happy that Ankush is here. We need to democratize intelligence in a very sovereign manner. So I think I feel more confident now. I was getting nervous that am I doing something wrong? Yeah. But I'm so happy. India has taken it up very seriously. We are seeing other countries in the world that it is so important to have your own foundation model. You can't allow the data to go out and finished product to come. I think India has to set example on this, and many more countries will follow.
Got it. Well, thank you, Vikram, on that. I guess, Ankush, back to you. Looking at the infrastructure side of the equation and looking how that supports the applications that Moj and Share Chat are engaging in. Just specifically to Vikram's point on LLMs, how important are they going to be for the next billion users in India, and what you're equipped to build, or how you're being equipped better to serve this audience? And I guess what is better infrastructure going to be able to allow you to do with your consumers, particularly with the social media ecosystem you operate in?
Yeah, I think Vikram shared some really interesting points on how I think every country now is realizing that they need their own sovereign core pieces of tech. I think we're talking about LLMs. I would put recommender systems as equally competitive, because what happens with LLMs publicly with your model rankings, and it always comes out, right? Recommender systems are similar, except it's between private companies. It does fundamental part of what builds internet, and it's as fundamental as LLMs. Specifically on LLMs, and I think I can probably club it with generative AI in general. I think that's really changing how we are looking at content in social media. So think of it like when smartphones came in, they lowered the bar on who can be a creator. Everybody can just take up a phone, shoot a video, upload it, and the recommender systems, the algorithms on social media would make sure you get the right audience. So we had a huge surge in content. With generative AI now, LLMs for text and multimodal for images and videos, the bar has gone even lower. So you don't even need to be in a great location and have a great presentable face and body. You can generate that through AI and make a very engaging video.
Of course, yeah.
So therefore the content becomes just 10x. And therefore the role of the algorithm which recommends that content becomes even more important, because now imagine like we get about 1 million new content per day on ShareChat. So and so when you open any of the apps of the last 3 months of 100 million pieces, we find the 10 most relevant for you.
Sure.
Now if the creation goes 10x, you have now 1 billion, and the problem becomes even harder. That from 1 billion, how do I find the 10 most relevant content? So the role of this recommender system becomes even more important in the world where content is so much abundant. And the fact that we've built one of the best, but more importantly, one of the cheapest. And to Vikram's point, right, like Meta operates at $100 ARPU. They don't care if their recommender system is of $3, $5, $10. We operate at $2, $3 ARPU. And we have to make sure that our recommender systems are at the dollar, so that we make profit and serve the content. So the fact that we've been through that journey, built one of the cheapest recommender systems, allows us a very dominant position in the world we are heading to, where it will be abundant content, thanks to LLMs and Gen AI models. In that world, I think the role of what we've done in the last 5 years becomes even more stronger, and we can offer even better user experience to our customers.
And with democratized content, obviously, then you need to turn to monetization, right? And you look at marketing and advertising and different types of revenue models. How does AI optimize those for you?
So I think the primary revenue model for us is ads, and again, it is a very similar problem, because in the content world, you're solving relevance and connecting a content with the user. In the ads world, you're solving ad relevance. You're connecting an advertisement with a user, and you're optimizing for clicks. And in fact, the world has now moved from clicks to deep funnels. So if an e-commerce company comes to us for advertisement, they'll put up all their products, maybe 1,000 SKUs, and we have to make sure that we are very, very efficient in showing those ad impressions to users to maximize revenue for us. And with AI, you can actually do a better job being more personalized. So all the things I've talked about from a user content lens actually apply to the ads world as well, where as we get more relevant, we can charge a higher cost per impression to the advertiser because we're delivering the outcome with much better relevance.
Where do you see AI going from here in your ecosystem? In terms of creating a real consumer advantage or meaningfully next steps of improving the user experience, what do you envisage? And particularly in terms of Gen AI for content creation, there's a lot going on, right? In India with C Dance 2.0. We've seen what happened with OpenAI. We've seen what happened with Gemini. Where do you see it going next?
Yeah, I mean, we are in a very exciting world. Things are changing much faster. So I think I have been only, whatever, if you call it career, for 10 years. But in my 10 years, this is the fastest pace of things changing around us. And I've already shared, right, like with these language models and video models, creation gets abundant. But I think now we're entering sci-fi territory. And the reason I say that is, so far for social media, it was always a retrieval problem. That you have hundreds of millions of people, they're putting content, you have to find the best and show it to the user. We know what, we can actually understand what users will like, but we are constrained by those 100 million posts we have. We're entering a world where if we already know what you want, why not generate it ourselves? So we're entering a world where it changes from a retrieval problem to a generation problem for social media companies themselves. This is probably 10 years out, but I think that is where we're heading, where we know exactly what you want to see on your screen at that point. We're not reliant on just creators. We can actually create our own content and show it to you. And arguably, over time, that should actually generate more engagement than human creators' content.
So you're talking about a level of personalization, basically. Yeah. So that's super exciting. Vikram, telcos are, sometimes people choose to forget that, but millions and billions of users interact with telco and mobile and broadband services every day and every part of the day. How do you take that power, combine with AI and combine where consumers are going next, and combine with a lot of the companies you work with globally? Where do you see that journey, A, for the sector, and B, for your company in Indonesia over the next 5 to 10 years?
So again, we have been on the connectivity business for 2 decades. Now time has come to get connectivity plus intelligence, and that is how we need to deliver it at the edge. And this is a real game-changing moment. There are no one better placed than telcos to do that. Number one. Number two, at Indosat, we have got our AI factory. We got the infra. We started with H100. Now we have GB200. We are talking about Vela Rubin deployment at scale. That's also equally important. Without compute at the right cost, you can't do all these creative things. You can't give power. So I think we are there. Now we have our model, which is Sahabat LLM. And without having the right application, which has productivity, meaningful solving customer pain, we will not be able to scale it up. So we are very keen to work with partners like Ankush here. What he has done, see, countries like India, Indonesia is very similar. What works here, whether it is on entertainment, whether it is on health, education, will work in India also, Indonesia also. So I think time has come that how we can collaborate on creating impact at scale. So again, it cannot be confined to only US and China.
Sure.
It is time now that, we give power in the hands of people, and also we keep focusing on solving real problems, and that is how you create scale.
Understood. Well, thank you. Do we have any questions from the audience or on the floor? I think there's a couple of questions behind.
First question, Sahabat, as you rightly said, it is open source. Don't look at Sahabat as a LLM. Look at Sahabat as a platform. And what we are doing with government, that it will have all the local language, how important. India is also cannot be only English, and how many dialects. Similarly, Indonesia has so many dialects. So it is a platform for innovator, for startup, and all the government citizen services. And a lot of sovereign workload will be trained. We don't have to train everything. We have a GPU factory. We have started training on H100. We'll get trained. So we welcome partners from India also who want to come and work. What we don't like is all this proprietary model. I think digital colonization or digital monopoly is the biggest risk any country or company can have. So I think we have to move to open source. We have to make sure we respect countries' regulation. If any company want to do well, they have to work on the guardrails of the country's regulation. This is what I think Quantum Ankur will be better than me to tell you.
Yeah, I think we get again getting to sci-fi zone. I think we are. There is a large risk on how quantum changes everything. I'm not an expert, but I think from the little I know, it does change. Like much higher order of magnitude problems are going to get solved in much lesser time. So that's probably a big challenge for cryptography in general as a whole industry. So security, all your bitcoins, everything. If and when that happens, and if that becomes very accessible, that level of compute, I think it does pose a lot of challenge to that world. I think it should, if anything, it should be beneficial for LLMs and generative problems because, it's essentially underlying it's a matrix multiplication. That's the hardest part of the slowest moving part. And if that gets accelerated, you should expect things to be cheaper, faster in the Gen AI world.
We have time for one more question. Yeah.
When we talk about AI, especially in a country, the biggest challenge is adoption. And so, from a neo cloud perspective, like what kind of programs you are running, or you have plans to enable enterprises or businesses in Indonesia to adopt AI at scale?
No, I think it's a very good question. So we, on my TechCo stack, we started our Neo Cloud, with L450 and then H100, GB200. I have 28 customers. Out of that, 18 are Indonesian. So let me tell you, enterprise adaptation is slow. It is little slower than what people have expected, but it is getting there. So today, we have a lot of regional global customers. They are all model builders. But we are on a day zero of inferencing. And countries like India, Indonesia, there is so much of value more when it comes to inferencing. But it is very important to get started. The sooner you get started, the better you will be positioned. I have been attending some of these best mind. One thing is very clear. Countries, companies who have got a head start and who have got the design right, enterprise also, they are seeing value out of AI. Otherwise, you don't get the value.
All right, well, on that note, thank you to Ankush and thank you to Vikram for a great session. Thank you very much.